Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today and welcome to Jetro Chicago's Jconnect Webinar Series with the first topic as smart manufacturing. My name is Kevin Cowell from Jetro Chicago and I will be moderating the webinar for today. The purpose of the Jconnect Webinar Series is to help connect innovative North American companies to Japanese affiliated companies. This aims to improve the productivity of Japanese companies as well as with accelerating their open innovation strategies. Plus, this helps American companies to expand their business with Japanese customers here in the US and in Japan. Each webinar in the series will have a different topic based on a specific industry, and today's topic is smart manufacturing. According to a Jetro market report, the global market for software and hardware related to smart factories is expected to double from 2018 to 2025 to a nearly $50 billion market. The US and Japan have both been accelerating initiatives for Industry 4.0 to enhance the global competitiveness of manufacturers, and this current global pandemic has accelerated the need for companies' digital transformation. Today, we bring you three companies from Michigan and Ohio to share their innovative technologies with you: Plex Systems, Predictronics, and iTSpeex. By the end of each Jconnect webinar, you will have a better understanding of attractive US companies in a variety of business sectors, as well as local innovation ecosystems. If you'd like to know more about local innovation ecosystems in the Midwest or to partner with innovative companies, please feel free to contact Jetro. I would like to now share a few housekeeping notes as we move forward with the program. First, here's how to operate the control panel for questions. Your microphones are muted to avoid noises. For this reason, questions should be entered in the box labeled question in the control panel on the far right side of the screen. If you don't see the panel, click on the orange arrow to show the panel. All of the questions will be answered after the three presentations have concluded. Today's talk will be recorded and both video and materials will be sent to you after the webinar. In addition, you will be asked to complete a questionnaire after the webinar. In the unlikely event that the webinar system shuts down for any reason, we will reboot the system for you. Please log in again for a few minutes using the Join Webinar button if this happens. I would like to now introduce our first speaker from Plex Systems, Dave Morfas. In this presentation, you will hear how Plex Systems delivers the first smart manufacturing platform that connects, automates, tracks, and analyzes every aspect of a manufacturer's business, from the shop floor to the top floor, to drive business transformation. Built in the cloud, the Plex Smart Manufacturing Platform includes MES, ERP, supply chain, industrial IoT, and analytics to deliver enterprise-wide operational control in a single solution. Dave Morfas has worked in the manufacturing and high-tech industries for 25 years, supporting customers globally in a variety of product marketing, product management group leadership roles. Currently, Dave serves as Vice President of Product Marketing for Plex Systems, overseeing strategic product direction, competitive intelligence, and content marketing and creation. So we're going to go ahead and switch to Dave Morfas now. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Well, first off, thank you so much to everybody for attending today, and it's a privilege to be able to speak with you. As Kevin mentioned, Plex Systems provides SaaS or software as a service-based smart manufacturing solutions to manufacturers in a number of verticals, including automotive, metals, food and beverage, and other industries in dozens of countries worldwide, a number of companies that are Japanese companies as well. And so what I want to talk to you about today in starting this session around smart manufacturing is, what exactly does that mean to everybody, and how do we get there? What are some of the challenges that perhaps some of you are seeing as manufacturers that other manufacturers similar to you are also seeing? And I wanted to kind of start with that. And the first thing is, one of the things that we've seen, and this should be of no surprise to anyone here, is that manufacturing has in fact changed quite a bit in the most recent couple of years, maybe decade or so, as opposed to in the past. In the past, what we often hear and what we've seen is that manufacturing and the systems that support manufacturing have often been sort of accounting focused, and the plant or the shop floor is a little bit more of an afterthought, not the focus of these systems and these capabilities. That companies have had to deal with rigid processes, rigid systems that really weren't tailored to them, but were rather applied broadly across the base, and you sort of had to adapt to whatever tools and systems were available to you. that people had limited access and visibility to the data that they needed to run the business, that implementations ran oftentimes in the years and were rife with complex integrations and customizations, that a lot of the data capture and so forth was manual, which caused errors and so forth, using a lot of Microsoft Excel and Access, good tools, but reliant upon manual data entry. And that systems were often large CapEx projects, whether it was the hardware going in or perhaps you even capitalized software. And so oftentimes what we saw on the left-hand side here is that a number of manufacturing environments, and this still happens today, are littered with challenges, things like poor visibility and inventory accuracy, a real lack of operational effectiveness and control and business adaptability to whatever changes come. And we've certainly seen some changes come over the last 3 or 4 months. A lot of manual processes which incite operator errors. We all know that we're only as good as the data we put in, and so if people make errors inputting data, that's going to cascade into other errors that have to be fixed later. Poor product quality availability or variability rather, which is to say that oftentimes we don't measure quality in line, we measure it off after the fact, and perhaps some of our quality measurements aren't as good as we want them to be, which affects things like brand reputation. System limitations. This is one we run into quite a bit, where companies are dealing with outdated software, highly customized software that they're trying to get away from because they can't keep up with those updates, and those are challenges to stay current. And then poorly integrated systems and inaccurate data, meaning my systems, I've got 8 systems or 10 systems, or I've heard 20 plus systems running my environment. I can't get them to talk to each other, and every time I need some data, I've got to pull it from one other system and compare it to another system. These things lead to what's on the right-hand side of your screen: increased cost and higher business risk, brand reputation, which is staked on your quality, things like customer delays. Everybody's trying to meet customer demands, but if there are things that delay those customer deliveries, that's a challenge. A lack of competitiveness, wasted resources, people doing things that you'd rather they not have to do if you could in fact automate those things and have people focus on a higher value add opportunities. And then an inability to scale business, both scaling up and down depending on the trajectory of your business. And so when I said manufacturing has changed, and I showed you the last century of manufacturing, this is what manufacturers are coming to us with today, and this is what the market tells us. That is, manufacturing is much more distributed, that manufacturers demand much tighter integration between systems like the shop floor and the top floor, MES, ERP. Companies are looking for much more control and automation for that uncertain workforce as the workforce changes both up and down based on COVID or just natural business tendencies. I've got to have more control as a manufacturer to be able to work through those peaks and valleys. I've got to have access to data from anywhere, over any time, over any device. I want to get to a certain outcome, and so I need tools that get me to that outcome. I don't want to just buy new tools for the sake of being current. I want more contextualized data that gives me the insights that as a business I can make decisions with confidence on that data. And I want to take advantage of something that's more and more common and popular today, which is the subscription model versus this hard CapEx model that we've lived in for decades. And so manufacturers are driving more towards positive business outcomes. What is the outcome that I want to receive? And therefore, what tools do I need to then take advantage of that gets me to that outcome? And so I want greater enterprise visibility. I want better inventory accuracy. I want real-time data. I want operational effectiveness and constantly optimizing operational effectiveness. I want more automated process and information flow so that we take the manual processes out of play and things flow in a checklist format in a much more automated way. I want a flexible, integrated, quality-focused system so that quality is not after the fact, but it is in line with production. I want to get rid of these old systems where I have these out-of-date software between different plants, maybe even within a plant. I'm always having to upgrade these systems. I'm always having to do all this onerous, time-consuming, costly stuff. I want to get rid of that. I want to leverage continuous innovation. When we use the Google interface, for example, or Gmail, there's no upgrade that we have to do. It just upgrades in the background. Well, why can't I have that for manufacturing? And I want access to anytime, real-time data from any device, anywhere. Those things lead to what's on the right: lowering your costs, reducing business risks, making you more highly competitive, giving you the ability to scale your business up or down as needed, giving you the insight and the ability to look at quality in real time and make guarantees that you can back up, and overall increasing customer satisfaction. Now, when you're looking for solutions, the one thing that we always work and deal with customers and prospects is that if you are the CIO or if you're the head of quality, understand that your perspective is hugely important, but you also have a consensus of people to deal with in order to get to a solution. And so oftentimes we look at things in the way that let's make sure that we are talking to and that you internally are talking to the right people to formulate the opinion that delivers the right solution or set of solutions that you need. So you might be the CEO, or we might be working with a CEO who has the three value drivers at the top: reduce costs, revenue growth, enabling business transformation. But we and you should also consider other opinions. For example, the CFO or the financial president on the right-hand side, who may be dealing with some of the same challenges that the CEO is, but maybe dealing with some other things like limiting financial risk, for example, and improving predictability. But you also want to take into account other positions like the head of quality on the bottom left. That person may be concerned with some of the things that the CEO, the CFO are concerned with, but they also may be concerned about ensuring compliance, ensuring that they can drive and maintain quality. And so what I want to impart is, as you as manufacturers are looking to improve your business, consider your opinion if you are the leader of a project that's going out and looking for tools, but also ensure that you're looking across the board so that whatever you choose takes into account those capabilities required and those drivers required of everybody in the business. Because what that ends up leading to is a good conversation that we can then have with you and that you can have internally, and that is, what are the capabilities that we as a company, not me as a group, as an individual, or me as a group need, but what does my company need in terms of capabilities in order to thrive? And these are some similar ones that we see from manufacturers all the time. I need to digitize more. I need to move more to the cloud. I need analytics to see what's happening in my business. I need better quality management and inventory tracking. I need to be able to trace material throughout, back and forth, and I need better data access. Now, the way Plex does this is that we've built our system to align to the challenges that companies look for. And those challenges are the need to connect, automate, track, and analyze everything in their business. If you're able to connect, automate, track, and analyze everything in your business, invariably that leads to three very positive outcomes, which is greater visibility, greater control, and greater quality. Well, how do we do that? Where do we come into the equation? So Plex has a full smart manufacturing platform, and this is the big picture that you're seeing here, to include everything from traditional ERP, but also supply chain manufacturing execution, industrial automation, industrial IoT, analytics, and an integration platform, all within a single cloud solution. Now, we start with the core layer of our product, which is manufacturing execution system. And this is something I want to point out to everyone here, and that is the scenario for a manufacturing execution is this. We have it inherent in our entire solution, but you can also use manufacturing execution, MES, if you have, for example, an ERP system that you are happy with, that you want to stay with, but you need better production control at the shop floor layer. We provide that. And so this is an environment that we live in for a lot of our customers who might have, as you see on the right-hand side, Oracle or SAP or Workday as an ERP solution, but they need a better plant floor / production efficiency solution. We provide an MES capability that is standalone, that works with your other ERPs if that's the environment that you're looking for. We also then can add on to that the shop floor layer, which is connecting through your PLCs to pull data into the MES system, so that with that MES as the central brain, you're able to pull in information from your shop floor. But on the right-hand side, as you can see, we go a step further, providing things like Industrial IoT, which is real-time shop floor connectivity to deliver additional visibility and insights. And I've got a slide to show you on that in just a second, coupled with contextualized analytics so that you're pulling data in a way that enables you to make decisions. So you're trending things, you're looking for specific pieces of data upon which you can make decisions. What Industrial IoT looks like, because a lot of people aren't real sure what that means, is it can mean a lot of things, is from our customer standpoint, and this is an actual customer scenario, Industrial IoT enables you to put sensors anywhere on the shop floor on virtually any piece of equipment to measure anything and bring it into the system. And so you see our asset dashboards on the upper right-hand side, and what one of our customers, actually a number of our customers have done, but this one customer in particular attaches sensors and brings that data in from fans on their furnaces so they can see if a fan has too much vibration, if it's heating up, so that they can predict downtime before it happens. And that's really part of the power of IoT is it temperature you want to sense? Is it vibration you want to sense? What are the things that you can sense that you can start to trend over time so that you can avoid that unpredictable downtime? And then put it in a performance analysis that tells you what has happened, what is happening, but more importantly, what is going to happen so that you can avoid those challenges. So coupled with the MES, industrial automation and IoT, is this integration platform on the left-hand side. And that is to say, if you have an ERP solution that you want to stay with, but you need better plant floor capabilities, you can go with this kind of environment, which is getting all of these capabilities and coupling them with your existing ERP. But let's say you wanted to go a little bit further and you wanted to just have a supply chain solution. Well, we've got that as well. And so we sell and provide a supply chain planning solution a la carte to companies that are just looking for a supply chain solution, say for better demand planning and forecasting. The power of the whole platform, however, not only is that you can pull some of these pieces out if that's what you need to drive positive business outcomes, but you can also have the whole thing in one platform. And that's really what we drive to. The majority of our customers have most of this together because they're looking for a holistic solution. But if you are a manufacturer that are looking for pieces of this and not the whole of it, that's okay. We're certainly willing to and can work with you and do all the time work with customers and prospects who are looking for bits and pieces, but not the whole of the solution. Ultimately, what customers are trying to do is take advantage of the entire ecosystem. And the other unique piece that we offer is what we call unlimited subscription, which means that when you're part of Plex, you have unlimited subscribers or users. That means you don't have to count licenses and subscriptions anymore. You can add everybody in your plant, everybody in your headquarters, all of your customers, all of your suppliers with one set cost. And that's a big advantage for a lot of our clients. A customer that I'd like to point out here in closing is Toyotatsu America. So in 2016, Toyotatsu America, which is a big supplier for Toyota, a top 10 supplier, they saw an opportunity to improve supplier communication and collaboration by digitizing operations and moving to a more Industry 4.0 environment. They really had three goals. It's enabling collaboration and control between suppliers throughout their value chain, extending the Toyota way most of you are familiar with, which is instilling quality throughout the supply chain based on lean principles and continuous improvement, and then gaining visibility on the shop floor of its facilities across North America to eliminate those manual processes. And so they partnered with Plex to simplify processes and connect the smart manufacturing platform to the Toyota shipping confirmation system, just-in-time capabilities, and other Toyota requirements. The results that they saw were a lot of control around Toyotatsu and Toyota, frankly, gaining control in their value chain with that real-time information collaboration in a unified data model. They were able to save raw material inventory costs by $1.6 million. They were able to instill proactive quality throughout. Their theory is if we can find a problem, we can put a corrective action in place to fix it. And then lastly, they were able to gain great amount of visibility. And in fact, Toyotatsu went from an became a best-in-class 2 hours of visibility or inventory on hand based on that visibility and being able to drive down inventory. They've gone to 2 hours of inventory on hand in a 1 million square foot plant. And so they have extremely cut the amount of inventory on hand in their plant, which of course affects cost, but also affects their ability to meet customer demand. So great success story with Toyotatsu. I'll just mention in passing, we've got over 650 customers, dozens of which are Japanese suppliers throughout the world. We focus on a number of different industries, automotive and metals being very, very focused for us. And then lastly, just a little bit about Plex in terms of who we are. Again, 650 plus customers, over 2,400 instances, which are amounts of sessions, if you will, instances of Plex throughout our customers. 29, 30 plus countries, a 96% renewal rate, which means very happy customers that come back year over year. We are a cloud-based system. So on the left-hand side, you see a 99.994 uptime for the prior 12 months. We have an SLA of 99.9, but we exceed that routinely. And that is a published public number that you can see. On the right-hand side, we are 100% manufacturing focused on ERP, MES, IoT, supply chain. We are a true multi-tenant SaaS. We are a 100% cloud-based customer. And so you never have to worry about those upgrades we talk about because we make those updates in the background so that they are transparent to you. We have good growth investment partners, so you can see here we have one code base, which means one community that is always on every single customer on the same version all the time, because we are versionless. When we have new changes, new features, new functionality that come into the product, you simply test it against your environment in an offline manner so that it's not affecting your production environment. And when you're ready to go live with that feature or function, you simply opt in and make it live. So every single customer of ours is on one single code base. It makes for a very powerful community, and it makes for very, very happy customers. We like to say happiest ERP and MES customers in history, and we base that on our high renewal rate and our customer satisfaction ratings. And so in summary, manufacturing is changing. I think you're all seeing that, not only recently with COVID, but just in general. We know that integration, automation, and digitization are critical. That's critical, and that will continue to be so. We know that smart manufacturing is the way forward, either in the parts that you need to satisfy your requirements or a holistic system that you need to tie your business together. And then lastly, those four keys: connecting, automating, tracking, and analyzing as the pillars. I think I'm right up against it right now, so I want to turn it back over to Kevin. I want to thank you for your time, and I'll be available for Q&A afterwards as well.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Dave. So as we switch presenters, I'd like to remind everyone to send questions in the control panel on the right of your screen, in which we will answer after the conclusion of the three presentations. So please come up with some good questions for us. And as I introduce our next company and speaker, you will see a poll coming up on your screen for the theme of next webinars for our future series. So it should be popping up here in a moment. So we will quickly gather results right now. So if you can kind of quickly do this poll, answer quickly, we'll have the results for you. I'll give this about a few seconds here, and then I'm going to start the introduction of David Siegel of Predictronics. So let me tell you about Predictronics and David Siegel. Predictronics has been at the forefront of bringing predictive analytics and AI solutions to the market since 2013. Their team of highly experienced engineers, data scientists, and software developers have helped customers in nearly every industry collect and analyze data to monitor critical assets and discover the key to preventative maintenance, worry-free uptime, and increased productivity. Predictronics custom solutions have prevented asset failures that can quickly add up to millions of dollars in downtime and repair costs. Dr. David Siegel is currently the CTO for Predictronics Corporation. His current role includes developing the technology roadmap for the company's predictive monitoring software and service solutions, as well as leading the implementation team to carry out the configuration and deployment of various predictive monitoring and machine learning-based solutions. Prior to joining Predictronics, Dr. Siegel was a research center at the Center for Intelligent Maintenance Systems at the University of Cincinnati. And during his time at the IMS Center, he contributed to the center's research with many successful projects, publications, and best paper awards. David has won 2 International Data Challenge competitions on predictive maintenance, as well as presented at numerous national and international conferences. Before I turn over to David, thank you for answering the poll questions. We should be able to see the results here on the screen. Okay, that looks good. We'll keep that in mind. We'll also have this question in our customer satisfaction poll. So I'd like to now go ahead and turn over to David Siegel with Predictronics.
Thank you. So I hope you can see the screen. I think it should be showing up now.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and get started and introduce, first, go back and review Industry 4.0 and look at the value of, where predictive analytics can fit into this framework, and then talk about some of the solutions related to a particular use case in this Industry 4.0 initiative related to predictive maintenance solutions based on machine learning for manufacturing. So it's always important to start with the business case and understand the pain points for the customer. If you look at this Industry 4.0 and digital initiative, it's many multifaceted. So there's many parts of it. The earlier talk was more on MES, IoT, and those related technologies. But once you have all this data coming in, how do you make the appropriate decisions to have this business value of reduction on unplanned downtime, better product quality, and so on? And predictive analytics, plays very important in this manufacturing industry, in different sectors as well, either automotive, electronics, and so on, to taking the data, making sense of it, and then using that information to make appropriate decisions to reduce downtime, improve productivity, and improve quality. So just a little bit of background about our company. Our areas of expertise are really on how to make these solutions based on this data and apply these predictive analytics. That include assisting our customers on what data to collect. Maybe you look at existing data from the machine or processes, or adding additional sensors as needed. And then once you collect the data, using that data to understand the health of those machines and processes, diagnose what's going wrong, as well as look at issues related to product quality, as well as predicting failures and so on. So they're really all related to industrial applications of artificial intelligence and machine learning and solutions based on that technology. So for us, a lot of times there's discussion about these technologies, but we think it's best to see various examples used in industry and how this technology is being deployed by our customers. So the first example is on a predictive monitoring example for an automotive wheel manufacturer. And this client was looking at how to improve their productivity and reduce downtime for their critical equipment. There's a machine that makes the rim of the wheel that's called roll forming equipment, as well as a machine that makes the disc of the wheel called a spinner or flow forming machine. And for them, those were the most critical equipment on the shop floor, but they were very legacy equipment, and they wanted to work together with Predictronics to develop a complete solution, an end-to-end solution that looked at how to make these machines from existing old machines into intelligent machines. So adding additional instrumentation and sensing, and then once that was in place, how do you make sense of that data to understand potential failures that are developing and predict and prevent these failures to ultimately lead to better productivity and less downtime, especially unplanned downtime. So with this existing customer, we looked at what sensing would be important for this, in this case, the flow forming or spinner equipment. And we looked at vibration, flow rate measurements, pressure transducers, and in some cases, the sampling rate may be different. Vibration is more, higher frequency data, while the flow and pressure is more low frequency. So we had to add this additional instrumentation to this machine because it was quite legacy. The connectivity was very challenging with their existing controllers on the machine. And from these results, taking that data, we've had quite a few success stories of using the machine learning to find early symptoms of these potential issues. This was an example where a problem was developing on the rough wheel, and our health value was increasing quite a bit. And it's also showing that the main contributor is a particular frequency related to the vibration. So in this case, the main contributor was vibration, but for other examples, the main contributor may be pressure or some other variable. So it was a very clear early indication, and this allowed them to take action in a proactive manner for this example. My second example was also with the spinner equipment, and it was related to another component on the machine. And our health monitoring solution had an early detection 10 days before they actually took action. So our system was giving them an early alert that something was going wrong. In this case, January 24th, and then 5 days later, the particular issue was noticed by this wheel manufacturer customer in terms of quality issues. And then 5 days later is when they actually took action to address the issue. So it gave them, quite a bit of lead time and advance warning that something was going wrong with the machine, as well as which variables or sensors were contributing to that problem. So in conclusion, with this pilot example, it successfully showed the key steps in building this predictive monitoring solution for, in this case, a wheel manufacturer, although it could be easily replicated for other manufacturing customers as well. And there was several events where the solution was finding this early symptom of a potential failure. And the one that we were showing earlier was 10 days before the actual headstock part of that machine failed. So the solution is currently deployed for this customer for their spinner and roll former machines, and we're extending that solution to those additional machines. So they have additional spinner and roll forming equipment where the solution is being extended. This solution was actually recognized by the Manufacturing Leadership Award. In this case, the customer is Maxion Wheels, and they were actually the first, I believe, automotive manufacturer to win this award in the category of artificial intelligence and analytics. So it was very well received project by the customer, as well as this organization body that recognized the solution, the value that it was providing based on the predictive analytics for the critical equipment. A second example is also manufacturing. This is focused on another type of equipment for a different customer. It's actually a Japanese automotive customer, and it's focused on the predictive monitoring of the press machines. So for this customer, again, it was in an automotive industry, and their focus was using the data they were already collecting to understand the health of these press machines. And they had various maintenance records, so we could have an understanding of the past failures, what potential issues were the main pain points for this equipment. And we used their existing data as well as the maintenance records to develop a solution that's focused on the key parts of this machine, in this case, the hydraulic system. And there was 2 events that we used from the past historical data to prove out the solution that it worked, to convince the customer that this technology, if it was deployed for many of their machines, it would provide value. And one of the events, it was showing an early indication, actually 1 month ahead of the failure. So when we looked at the maintenance records, looking at the historical data, there was 35 different maintenance events. However, only 5 were really resulting in, I would say, a significant amount of downtime. Other issues were related to maybe very short stoppages in the machine, which may not be related to maintenance or machine health related issues. So we decided to focus on the 5 more significant downtime issues. And in summary, they were really related to the hydraulic system. So that was the main driver of a lot of the key downtime related issues. So if you predict and prevent those issues, you can see a significant improvement in their uptime of their facility. And for this press machine, they had already a data collection system in place that was collecting various signals related to the press angle, the other information related to the position of the press, hydraulic pressure, temperature, and so on. This is an example of the deployed solution using our PDX software, and always has the same look and feel. So we're really just making slight configurations for the different type of equipment. So we have various what we call templates for different types of equipment. So we have a template for a press machine. We now have templates for the wheel manufacturer, as well as for robotics, casting equipment, injection molding, and so on. A lot of the common equipment used in manufacturing. And this is showing the health results. There's actually a short-term anomaly. This was more of electrical related failure, which was very difficult to have a huge lead time or earlier advance notice. This other event was related to the hydraulic system. We can see that there's really an emerging trend that's developing. And based on when it consistently crosses the threshold, that would have given you a potential 1 month advance notice of this issue. The software will also tell you which variable is contributing to that problem. In this case, it's the locking hydraulic pressure at this particular instance, and the lubrication oil temperature is the second contributor. So it'll help you give some information on where the problem is and help you diagnose what the potential issue is. So there are some steps in the process. We view it more as a flow chart for taking data and then developing these analytics. And we view it as a step-by-step process. And the first step is actually cleansing the data. So we use some outlier removal techniques to remove erroneous values and have a more clean representation of the hydraulic pressure signal and the press angle. You can see that it kind of has this repetitive pattern for each cycle. And if you analyze those patterns cycle by cycle, you can recognize departures from those patterns and use that to understand the health of the hydraulic system for the press. And these are some of the example results. This is kind of highlight the 2 early detections that were shown with their historical data. And the first one was more of a short-term event. The first one was the main result that helped convince the customer. In this case, you can see that there was an early indication, almost more than a month ahead of the actual failure. So the third example is showing how the same technology could be applied to other manufacturing equipment. This is an example with industrial robots, which are used throughout manufacturing, especially in the automotive manufacturing industry for welding or material handling. And this is a review of the business case. And for one of our pilot customers, they actually had 30 failures for their robots. in that production year before they actually started working with us. And if you look at the cost of downtime, being 1 minute of downtime is basically producing a car, which is up to $10,000 or even $20,000 for just 1 minute. If you run through the math, even if you just predict 50% of these failures, using this software and solution, you can look at saving millions of dollars savings in that reduction in unplanned downtime. So we follow that same methodology and use the same software and solution product, the PDX software, to configure a solution for the robotics. And it's based on looking at the motor current, position signal, temperature, and so on, and comparing these patterns over time. In this example, you can see that again, we had an early indication of a problem that was developing over time. It was related to our variable that was contributing it was related to the joint 5 or axis 5. In fact, it did have a problem with axis 5, and the customer was able to fix the issue proactively on a weekend shift, so it didn't interfere with their production. So they were very happy with this solution. So there's, I'd say, many ways to get started on providing these predictive solutions in manufacturing. And the way that customers typically work with us is that we like to have an introduction call. We like to understand their potential issues, understand where they are in terms of their digital manufacturing initiatives, in terms of their maturity in that space. And then we like to have maybe a 1 to 3 day workshop to understand the pain points and develop a potential scope of work that would outline the steps and taking what they have and ultimately building to a solution that will have value. And usually the proof of value project, it can be anywhere from around 2 months, maybe up to 6 months, depending on the complexity and the scope of work that's involved. And then if they like the solution, they would then typically subscribe to the software. So I'll just conclude, just give you a flavor of what customers we're working with, as well as some references or testimonials from our past clients, especially in the Japanese market. So we actually work with a variety of customers in the manufacturing space, both in North America, Europe, as well as Japan. And you can see some of the clients, various manufacturers in automotive, aerospace, and electronics. And we also want to highlight, we have a Japan sales partner that has introduced us, actually since our start of our company in 2013, to the Japan market. So we worked with a lot of the Fortune 500 companies in Japan as well. And these are some of our testimonials. They're also on our website. So we had a predictive maintenance project with Komatsu. They were very happy with our capabilities and our methodologies and techniques and software. In addition, we had a very promising testimonial from a steel manufacturer in Japan, Nippon Steel, that was also very pleased with our capabilities and our ability to have the early detection of failures for their steel industry. And then the last one is our sales partner that's also highlighted that the PDX software has been very well received in the Japanese market and has really helped their customers achieve value in using those solutions based on the PDX software. So with that, this is our contact information. I'm David Siegel, so you can reach me at this email, and I'll hand it over to the rest of the presentation for the webinar.
Okay, thank you very much, David, for your presentation. So I'd once again like to remind you to add your questions, which will be answered after this final presentation. I'd also like to have to initiate one more poll as I introduce the next speaker. So if you could please take a look at the screen and answer, that'd be appreciated. So our next presenter is Jerry Rex of iTSpeex, who is going to talk about the voice assistant for manufacturing, Athena. Athena is designed and delivered by manufacturing technology incubator iTSpeex. The Athena technology listens to human machine operators and assists them in accurately and efficiently completing their tasks. Athena is revolutionary, but also the natural next step for an industry that is pushing towards the future. Athena represents the merger of two worlds, the voice-operated technologies that make our lives more convenient and the machine tools that make manufacturers more competitive. With over 40 years in manufacturing experience, from machine apprentice to engineers to sales management, and company leadership, Jerry Rex has programmed and run machines, tooled them up, and sold them, as well as being a company president for over 17 years. Rex served several years as an AMT board member, and in 2016-2017 served as chairman of AMT's board of directors. A lifelong user of technology, he now leads the sales and marketing efforts for iTSpeex, the creators of Athena, the industrious digital assistant. So we're going to go ahead and close the poll now. So it looks like the results, about 2 to 1, we have no. So yeah, we're obviously very cognizant that, you know, the English is very fast for some of you, for Nihonjin in the crowd. So we wanted to ask this question. So thank you for answering. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Jerry Rex now with iTSpeex.
Well, good afternoon, good morning to those of you in the eastern part of the world. I tend to speak pretty quickly, so I will intentionally slow down. Hao gozaimasu, konnichiwa, and hello to those of you in India and other parts of the world. Thank you for your time today, and I think there's a very good tie-in for all 3 speakers today. So Jetro did a nice job of covering 3 totally different aspects of smart manufacturing, yet very complementary in their nature and how they can tie in to help you be more efficient and more productive. So a few things I would hope we could help you with today or take away is how could anyone benefit from an industrial digital assistant? What exactly is Athena and what can it do? And how can Athena help your company either sell more machines or, for those of you who utilize machines, make those machines that you do own or operate more efficiently, more profitably? So, as you know, if we were in an audience, I could ask for a show of hands, how many of you are currently using some form of a digital assistant? These days, whether we are talking to our phones or speaking to our car or a disc or box or other shaped object in our homes, more and more of us rely on digital assistants to tell us what tomorrow's weather might bring or what the latest news is. What we're trying to do with Athena is take that to the next level. Brief excerpt from Max Tegmark's book, Life 3.0, that technology is in fact linked to growth for companies and people as well. And the faster that companies adapt to technology, the faster they tend to grow. And the best technology solutions are really built with the end user in mind, that they either help them be better people or better at their work or both, and they simplify and enrich their lives and hopefully their jobs. And what we've tried to do in developing and creating Athena is keep the end user, the person in front of the machine, whether it is an operator, a machinist, a setup man, a technician, or an application engineer, make them more effective with that equipment. Athena is a digital assistant, and it's designed specifically for the manufacturing environment, industrial manufacturing, and it'll improve the performance of the person on the machine and thereby the machine. The difference with our software platform is that we are on-prem or on-premise, not cloud or internet-based. We also offer a toolkit either for the machine builder, OEM, or the ultimate end user of the machine, allowing customization and tailoring specific to your need or your application. So you see on the left side of your screen, a person with a headset. Voice is one way. Athena is an assistant that allows you to connect in ways you've never been able to connect to the machine tool through the CNC control. Voice is one, and it's one of the simplest, but we can also do it through email or text or keyboard, typing it in. And we're constantly working on improving both the response and the capability of those interactions. So the intent, again, is to help make it simpler and faster to either access information or to act on information and interact with the machine. It's truly groundbreaking technology, and it should result in efficiencies and improved productivity. So knowing that the preponderance of the audience is Japanese, we have a brief overview video of Athena that Akira-san will queue up for you. And please listen and watch this very brief 2-minute video.
あなたは多忙な作業現場で働くマシンオペレーターです。熟練した技術を持ち、マシンを動かし、パラメータの範囲内で操作します。しかし、セットアップの詳細に関するクイックヘルプが欲しいと考えています。あるいはあなたはマシンやコントローラーの操作に慣れていない新人のオペレーターかもしれません。ここでわからないことを質問すると、マシンが理解し、役立つ回答を返してくれると想像してみてください。しかも複数の言語で。適切であり、収益を上げながらマシンを連続して操作させるのに必要な知識を備えたバーチャルアシスタントがいると想像してみてください。アシナ産業アシスタントのご紹介です。ホームコンフォートから航空宇宙や医療機器に至るまで様々な分野で革命をもたらした技術が工業生産・生産業にも導入されつつあります。アシナは機械加工や製造作業に特化したユニバーサルな音声アシスタントです。ブランドや操作方法に関係なく、ほとんどのマシンに対応します。クロストレーニングを受けた勤勉なアシスタントがそばについていれば、様々な種類のマシンや機能にシームレスに対応しながら作業を再開できます。またアシナは、作業現場の接続性を向上させ、混乱を招きやすいインダストリー 4.0 データを現場で役立つ方法で連携させます。セットアップから稼働、保守から修理まで、アシナはすべての作業を支援します。アシナに質問するか、あるいはショートメールや電子メールを送信すればヘルプを返します。アシナはステータスレポートの発行、主要な測定値の計算、複雑なタスクを通じたオペレーターの指導など様々な作業を実行することができます。アシナを使用することで複雑すぎるインターフェースを排除し、マシンのダウンタイムを最小限に抑えて作業をより効率的に行うことができます。私たちは製造業界の近代化に取り組んでいます。アシナはここで機能します。
So, thank you for that. For your attention. Back to where we were on the presentation, what we would imagine is that your company, like any other, or if you're a manager on the floor, you want to maximize the performance of both your people and the machine tools themselves. You want to provide cutting edge tools to those people, and you want to be able to apply the latest in technology to deliver the best solutions to your employees and ultimately to your customers. We believe Athena brings the latest technology to enable all of these things. It is a natural fit. Like the others, I'd like to show you some of the things that we believe exist, whether you're a manufacturer or a machine tool builder, but machine tools are clearly becoming more and more complex. And the parts that are being manufactured are done so to tighter tolerances. They're smaller. The machines are difficult to learn and to operate, and the graphical user interface or the GUI and even button differences in locations can be confusing to the most seasoned operators. So our response to that is guides and checklists to help simplify usage and find easier access and quicker availability of advanced capabilities across almost any brand of machine tool or control. Another issue is that it's tough to find talent, especially experienced talent. And once you have those, keeping those people engaged and keeping them productive is a constant fight. So an assistant can help you make those new operators productive faster, and experienced operators have improved efficiencies by getting access to data or information quicker, performing those difficult or complex functions simpler and faster. And they can do this whether it's a PDF, a video instruction, or merely jumping to a screen without multiple screen touches more promptly. And today we've talked about, from both Dave and David, you heard about data and the importance of it. And we can gather a lot of data. What do you do with it? And what is the important data? how do you predict an event, or how do you avoid that through prediction? What we're doing is providing best level practices, but also user-defined inputs from various IOs, sensors, and deliver reports, information, and clear recommendations where appropriate. So boiling that down, what is the value of a digital assistant? What does Athena provide? So although there are, and I have some additional slides at the end we won't go through because I understand you'll have access to the presentation, we've taken the 10 functional areas, distilled them to 3 areas that clearly help either an operator or setup person or a maintenance person or technician. So the first we say is guide or teach or coach me. So we can provide on-machine guidance, again, on-prem, on your machine, to help a novice get up to speed quicker and then make that seasoned operator more efficient. We simplify the complex. We can reduce on-site training and travel for the builder, the cost for the person that's operating or responsible for the machine, and you have much quicker time to react to that rather than waiting for help from the outside. And then from an administrative standpoint, free my mind and my hands to do the things that only a human being can do. Like automation, I've always felt automate with a robot or some form of software or other device, anything that is redundant or repetitive or doesn't take thought or reason. The idea here is to automatically perform those administrative tasks, to alert me before that next tool runs out, or when this program is going to end, or any number of things from an administrative standpoint. And also, in addition to being more efficient, reducing potential human errors and freeing that operator. So this is an example of Athena on a screen, and because it's hard to hear it, I will talk you through, but in the guide me, I'm trying to give you quick examples of those 3 scenarios: guide me, simplify the complex, and free me. In guide me, the operator, you'll see the computer screen. The operator merely says, Athena, show me how to use a Ken tip drill. Athena responds by saying, showing how to use a Ken tip drill. Again, we can show a PDF, we can have a video. This is all preloaded and it's on-prem, so you don't need outside connection to the internet or anything else. You can click on slide right to show the full screen for this video, or you can keep it split screen to show both the Athena interaction and also what the function is that's taking place. The next one is simplify the complex. The operator simply says, Athena, change tool 25. In this case, there's a confirmation. Are you sure? Athena asks. Operator, yes. Athena, changing tool 25. You have the ability when creating these stories to add a confirmation step before anything that actually performs a controlling function on the CNC machine tool. The final one, free me from the administrative task. Operator, Athena, what is the remaining tool life for tool 6? Remaining tool life is 35%. Operator, Athena, what is my machine utilization? Athena's response, current OEE is 89%. These are just a few examples to show you within those 3 categories, and there's so much more, but these are 3 quick examples. Athena is truly a digital assistant that's designed to help machine operators accelerate their work, be more efficient. It's a standard unified HMI, so you can work across a multitude of types of machines as well as brands. I'm not going to read through all of these things. That's the reason it's in the presentation, but allows, again, that interaction between the human being, whether it's the machinist, the operator, setup person. Let's say that a service technician needs to come and look at a machine. They look at so many different, and even within a brand, it may have a Siemens control, it may have Fanuc, it may have Heidenhain. They can't possibly be really familiar comfortably at all levels with every machine brand, let alone the control. This system allows you to interact, pull up certain functionality, reports, data, screens, simply by voice or entering data into the keyboard or a text. Again, industrial Internet of Things, data, reports, alerts on demand, and it is, as we said, an interoperable platform through many methods of input. And we're constantly learning and growing. I mentioned earlier that Athena was designed with the end user in mind. So we continue not only to get feedback from existing users, but we survey and poll other customers, application engineers, other people in front of the machines to find out what are the things that would be more beneficial and most beneficial to you. So again, it's universal because it can operate on multiple machine types and understand data from many different sources, as Dave mentioned in his, where you might be able to pull from different types. You could put sensors on almost anything and we can collect data from almost any type of machine. And then interoperable in the many ways that humans communicate, we can also communicate. This slide, we won't go through everything, but it just shows you again, you choose how you want to communicate and then with which machines. And these are the various ways that you can communicate back and forth and what kind of information you can get. What tools in the spindle? What's the remaining tool life? When is my next maintenance due? So on. The basic solution components within Athena, again, on the left in the orange or red, you can see that Athena is a digital assistant, human-machine interface, and the methods that you can use. Again, reminder that it's on-prem, so it's incredibly safe. Those of you in large organizations, and I saw that there were some companies that are fairly substantial, you may have IT concerns or downright restrictions. So we are on-prem. You don't have to worry about the security or the safety. There's an application manager, which is a part of the basic platform. Then we can provide a toolkit, either for the machine tool builder, OEM, or the end user can have their own. Now, the equipment manufacturer has more capability to do things that relate to controlling the machine and movement and things like that, and the customer can more customize and tailor to their specific needs on the plant level. And then again, any type of media, whether it's a video clip, taking notes verbally, recording a message, or pulling up a PDF to find the instructions for the setup. I will not go through all of this, but it's there for your perusal after that. Again, whether it's an OEM toolkit or an end user kit, we use stories to author the content. And that's how we're able to do this on-prem. You come up with the ideas, the features, and we have hundreds of them literally already developed. There may be something that you want to do a little differently, have a different wake word or confirmation word or whatnot. So those things can be customized by either the end user or the machine builder. And of course, these are the technical components of an overview. There's a lot to do with speech recognition, text to speech and speech to text. We have this in multiple languages, including Japanese and Spanish and German. And I will say the video that I chose to show today, because I understood a large portion of the audience is Japanese, we have that same overview video and some individual component videos in English, German, and Spanish, as well as Japanese. So the OEM is going to work with us to really do the control integration, and then the toolkit allows them to go further as it would with the end user. So what's the rationale for really trying to use a digital assistant for machining? Whoever the machine owner is, whether it's the person responsible for it as the shop supervisor or the plant owner, it's their priority to develop the workforce, but to support and produce high output, right? So Athena is really there to simplify the use of the machine. You could even hire people from Walmart or the pizza delivery person for certain elements of this, but I don't want to overstate. Some complex machines require a lot more than that for setup and other operation, but it does simplify, and especially across machine platforms. If one person is on break or out for that day, it's a lot easier to put on a headset and come over or type in some instructions rather than learn an unfamiliar control. There are some specialized functions that many manufacturers tell us don't ever get used because they're not easy to find or people aren't aware. We have shortcuts that can allow you to easily utilize those, access them, and pull them up quickly. So we have a lot of data that we can collect. We can organize that data, display it in the format that you want. It's really a high efficiency assist or aid to the machinists, operators, managers, engineers, anyone that interacts with a machine or the cell. And it's really a self-help tool. And it can also relieve some of the demand on either the OEM help desk or the costs associated with that, or the time that you're waiting for someone to get back to you. So again, an OEM or a machine builder can integrate Athena into their digital suite, and then an end user can customize it to your own shop's needs. So again, I put some other slides here if you wanted to look at them later, but arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much for your time and attention. My contact information is below, as is the email for our COO. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Jerry, for your presentation, and to all of our speakers for your excellent presentations. We'd like to now begin our panel session and answer some of the questions that we've had come in during the presentation. However, Dr. David Siegel had to step out at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Chicago time. So I believe we have 1 or 2 questions that were directed towards him, but we'll try to get those answered for you. Okay, so let's see, it looks like we got everybody on screen here. This first question is for Dave Morfas. What's the biggest difference between SAP and Plex?
Well, there are a lot of differences. The biggest thing is that we are manufacturing focused 100% of the time. That is the only thing that we serve. The second piece I would say that's critical is that we are born in the cloud. So we're a native cloud from the get-go. So everything we do is designed around cloud and designed for the cloud. The third thing I would say, I know you asked for 1, but I'll give you 3, is that our system is continuously updated, which means that you no longer have to do upgrades. That's not just an SAP thing, that's across the industry, where when a new function becomes available, as I mentioned, you simply test it against your environment in a test environment. When you're comfortable with it, you simply flip on a switch and it becomes live. So you never have to do another software upgrade again.
Okay, thank you. Jerry, I got a quick question for you here. Can the Athena system be integrated with like a current old operating system or older machine? Or is it a new developed software required for use with the Athena system?
No, that's a very good question. It would really be dependent on the system itself, but we focus first and foremost on CNC machines, and metal cutting machines has been our first focus. But if someone wants to reach out, let us know what model machine, what series control that they have and some of the information. But it's pretty much across most platforms.
Okay, and with Athena, you mentioned that it's capable of multiple languages. Is it capable of multiple languages at the same time? So for example, maybe we're in Mexico, we have Spanish, English, and Japanese going at once. Is that possible, or is that going to confuse? Does Athena need to be kind of set to one language at a time?
That's a very good question. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one because I haven't addressed that yet. What we have developed is pretty strong translation, including in Origami, and have tested that. And we are actually at a customer now in Mexico testing the Mexican Spanish version. So we're getting feedback on that. I am not sure, honestly, whether you can have multiple platforms and switch back and forth. It's not as simple as inch to metric. I do know that, but I'll have to get back to you on that. Great question.
Okay, another question for Dave here. What is the percentage of providing total solutions in each application?
Can you read that again, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it's, what is the percentage of providing total solutions in each application? So I'm not exactly sure.
It may be, I'll take a guess at it. I don't know if this is what is being asked, but I mentioned that our product can be segmented. For example, you can, if you simply need a supply chain solution, you can opt for a supply chain solution. If you simply need MES and not the ERP portion, you can go for that, or you can go for the whole product. Maybe that's what they meant. I don't know the exact breakdown, but the lion's share, the most of our customers are on the entire solution, but it's in the dozens. So maybe 10% of our customers that are kind of focused on the MES portion only. That's a growing segment for us, simply because that's a need for a lot of people. And then on the supply chain only solution, a couple hundred customers that are just using the supply chain capability. So it's a combination of those things, where customers sometimes use the whole and sometimes use simply a portion of it. I don't have the exact breakdown though.
Okay, thank you.
And let me just point real quickly to the question, because a lot of people get focused on the solution, and understandably so. When we have a conversation with you, what we're really doing is trying to uncover what it is that you need, and then applying a solution accordingly, versus coming to you with our solution and what do you need. We want to focus on your challenges, those things that we set up early on, as the other two presenters mentioned too, and then we'll figure it out from there. We don't come and try to apply a solution to you and force you to something. We try and figure out what it is that you're trying to solve for. And frankly, if there's something you're trying to solve for that doesn't fit with us, we're going to tell you. We're not going to try and force fit something of ours into something that doesn't make sense. But let's focus on your challenges, and then we'll apply a solution accordingly.
It's like your customer with the MES only. They already had their ERP. They don't need the whole thing. You're not going to recommend that. You're going to suggest what works.
No, and maybe they'll want to do something later. That's fine. But let's focus on what you need right now to make your numbers and to drive the challenges, get over the challenges that you're having right now. Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Yep.
Yeah, and Jerry, one more question here. I'll try to ask this as best as possible. Who creates the video references, etc., that Athena will show?
It's a company called DrawShop, and there are several of them. If you go to our website, you can either go to itspeaks.com or athenaworkshere.com, and we're working on renewing the website, updating it. But the current site, there are videos on there, and if anybody wants them, we have an individual, very short video of each of the 10 functions. And again, those are all in German, English, Japanese, etc. But it's DrawShop is the name of the company that's done that for us.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
And if you can just tell us a little bit about iTSpeex. It's an incubator, if I'm not mistaken, in Cincinnati. And Dave, if you can talk about the beginning of Plex Systems, and if you kind of spun out of any type of incubator, or how kind of Plex System began. So, but I'll start with Jerry.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've been in this industry a long time, as my bio showed, and what I love about iTSpeex and Athena is I've always loved technology. I've been an early adopter, and so this is a small group that has decided almost, well, a little over 2 years ago now. So we're only at just a little over 2 years old to really invest in this technology to take manufacturing to the next level and to provide that digital assistant aimed at the machine tool itself. So we're mostly comprised of young people, much younger than me, about a third or a half of my age, some of them even younger, because they're all tech geeks, right? And they know how to write code and do the QA on it, but they are living this. Several of them have some machining background or CNC code background. And they're helping us develop this, both and we use other people and resources for not only speech, but also for the language and for coding. But we do exactly what Dave described, is that we want to get with the customer to find out what it is they're really needing. And one person might find no issue at all with going through multiple screens. There's someone else. If you want to find home or find the corner in a wire EDM, it could take 6 different screen advances, where we just say, okay, Athena, find home. And it pulls up the right screens, physically moves the axes in the motion in the machine, and it's there. So it's pretty incredible, and it's exciting, and we're constantly improving and developing because the commitment that's being made, even in this pandemic time when machine tools aren't exactly flying off the shelf. We can help people come out of this quicker because we're able to help them be more proficient.
And Dave?
Yeah, and we're interesting story for us. We're very proud of our lineage and our heritage. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary actually this year, and Plex was born on the shop floor. And what that means is our founders came from a metal stamper for the automotive industry, and they worked for a metal stamper who was looking to do things in a better and different way and more effective and efficient way. And so some of the very technical folks who were running some of the systems, but also running some of the CNC machines and so forth, devised a way, some software and so forth that could improve their efficiency, but then decided, well, maybe there's more we can do here, and maybe we can change the model completely and flip it on its head and start to move towards a more decentralized IT environment, that being the cloud. And this is before cloud was really in everybody's vernacular, but the idea was, in certain products or certain ways, certainly Jerry's product more on-premise oriented, there are some products that are better suited and so forth. But from an ERP and an MES perspective, the idea was, let's decentralize and let's manage things in a decentral way where we as the product experts can manage the challenge of updating and keeping software current, and let manufacturers just focus on manufacturing versus having to collate all this data from different places. And so our founder, who's still with the company, in fact, 2 of our founders are still with the company today, 25 years later, decided not only are they going to do that, but they're going to do it as its own company. And so they spun out of a metal former. They created Plexus, which was our initial name way back when. We've since changed it to Plex. And they went to the cloud when it wasn't popular to do so, but decided that the business model made the most sense. And when others were kind of trashing cloud, we decided to go for it. Our customers love it because it does take the IT burden off of them. It puts them in a place where they can simply, on an operational and OpEx model, they can subscribe to our service and never have to worry about the software, never have to worry about updating the software. And so we followed that model, and we followed it through to today, to where we've got more than 650 ERP and MES customers. When you add in supply chain customers, it's even greater than that, and are growing strong. And that's the model now that you see all similar companies that offer ERP and MES solutions are racing to get to, but unfortunately have a lot of this historical baggage where they're trying to adapt a current version of their software to a native multi-tenant cloud software. We did that from day one, so we just keep going with what we have, and we keep iterating and modifying and adapting, and then extending it with IoT and new capabilities that come along. So 25 years, all in the cloud. Made a very, as most companies do, very challenging decision at the time to go that route, but it's paid dividends for our customers, for us. And again, I pointed earlier to being born on the shop floor. We were literally born on the shop floor at a metal former in the automotive industry in Michigan.
Thank you both for that. Okay, just a couple, 2-3 more questions here. Just a very quick question on Athena. Does Athena understand if someone has a strong Japanese English accent, speaking English with a Japanese accent? Well, actually, it looks like Jerry is offline here.
Jerry might have frozen up there for a second.
Yeah, Jerry looks like he's offline according. Well, let me go ahead and read another question here, Dave, that you can answer. So I'll just read the entire question statement here. My understanding is that many traditional manufacturing companies utilize legacy systems and struggle to implement new systems.
Lost my connection for a bit there, sorry.
No problem.
Actually, this question's for both of you, so we'll start with Dave here, but let me start that over. My understanding is that many traditional manufacturing companies utilize legacy systems and struggle to implement new systems. What's the lead time for a typical client, a Japanese client, to get accustomed to transitioning into a smart system, a connected system?
It depends on what you mean by lead time, but I think you mean implementation time, perhaps, and onboarding and so forth. So it can vary. It just depends on how complex it is. We've done them as little as 60 to 90 days. Though that's not the norm. Typically, the norm for a system like this, because it is so comprehensive, is generally 6 to 9 months, and a lot of it is dependent on your environment. Some people prefer it to go longer simply because of the challenge, because it is a big change, even though it's a cloud system. What is beneficial, however, is once you acquire, if in fact you're in an acquisition mode, or if you're owned by, say, private equity companies or someone where you're buying and selling plants and so forth, the ease with which you can then turn up a new plant is fairly instant, in the sense that you turn up a new instance, and then we start to program against that instance and start to move the old system over to the new. And so there are some things that you can do very quickly by being in a cloud instance that you can't necessarily do in the historical legacy ERP instance of turning up new plants and starting to move things over to a new system. But if, for example, it's a $100 million plant, and this is a complete guess again, it could be 6 to 9 months. Again, that depends on us working with you and what your timelines are as well. I don't want to imply that it's an 18-month implementation. I know that a lot of systems do that. We do not, again, unless you choose that to be the case. So implementations generally are faster than the legacy systems that you talk about and that you're mentioning. And then implementation or turn up for new plants is very, very quick because it's in the cloud.
Okay, Jerry, and can you kind of talk about that as well with Athena?
Well, yes, one of the things, and our focus in the beginning has been working more with the machine tool builders so that we're trying not to create snowflakes, we say, because each customer has their own individual needs. However, we know that's going to be the reality. So that's why we've developed the end user toolkit that I described, which would be at the customer themselves, but we also have a toolkit. So we want to provide a platform with Athena, but some builders maybe are not capable enough or don't want to spend the engineering resource to develop a deeper capability. So we can do that for them. iTSpeex will do that. Then beyond that, we'll still offer the OEM toolkit, which they can then create their own capability that maybe they don't want to share with us and don't want the end user being able to do themselves, because you have to get into the API and the control and use the IO. So, but for certain end user, a customer may decide they want a capability that not that many people are interested, so they can take that, whether it's on a legacy product or a brand new machine tool. We still have the ability to address that with either. There are differences, just like there are with an interface from a 1994 0i control or a 16 or an 18 or whatever it is to today's. There are some differences, but we can work with those and we can guide people through that. So it's not just for new, it can work on legacy as well.
And Jerry, just before you got cut off a minute ago, I was getting ready to ask you with Athena, does it understand if someone has a strong like Japanese English accent?
That's a good question. It's really less about accent than enunciation.
Okay.
So, and it can learn too, but it's more about enunciation than an accent. And if someone was really strong or thick in a particular language, they might be better off speaking in that language rather than with a strong accent in English. But it really is more dependent on how you pronounce it. And you don't have to, like some of us do with people that, you know, that are maybe hard of hearing or whatever, speaking louder doesn't help, or, you know, any of those things. It's really about clarity and enunciation. And you can change, like if you want to do something different with confirmation, where rather than saying yes, because that would be too easy to get an input from somebody walking, but you could say confirm or accept, or there's lots of other customization that can be done.
Sure, I think we have the same problems with Alexa as well when it comes to the language clarity. So another question here for both of you. I'll start off with Dave. How does Plex protect the proprietary information and prevent cyber attacks? And then Jerry, you can answer that for Athena afterwards.
The how we do it is slightly beyond me, in that I'm not the architect for our systems and so forth. What I would tell you is this: we abide by all regulatory and compliance requirements that are out there. We've got a full-time staff of people that maintain security. We've got a chief security officer that does the same. We've got an infrastructure from a cloud perspective that is not only redundant, but abides by the strictest security standards that exist today. From an uptime perspective, I know that's not necessarily security, but we have, as I showed earlier, I think we're at 99.994 uptime right now, which is 8 to 12 minutes of unplanned downtime per year. We constantly patch, include, test, stress test our systems at a governmental level. One of our customers, anecdotally, one of our customers hired a CIA hacker to try and hack into our system when they were in their trial, and they spent, I think, a month doing it, could not get in. It's just an anecdote of the kinds of things that some of our customers say, oh, that's good, but we're going to try something different. We say, go for it and let us know. They couldn't get in. But there is, if you're interested in that level of conversation, we've got our chief security officer, and I'm happy to connect them to you for the kind of audit reports and so forth, and maybe some of the exact stress tests that we do. I will also note that on our website, there is a cloud operations data sheet that you can look at to look at some of the kind of tests that we run around malware and some of the DDoS things and so forth that you can look at that are specific. So suffice it to say, 25 years in business, never had a challenge, but obviously these challenges crop up every day and there are hackers trying to get in. We're aware of it, we work with it, we fight it, we are successful against it, and I'm happy to provide any specifics if that person would like to follow up with us. Be happy to provide that.
Sure, thanks. And Jerry?
So utilizing technology and Microsoft Teams on my phone to get some help on the previous question, Athena is really designed to be used in your native language. Although we do have some parameters that can be adapted a little bit to loosen some things up as well to accommodate for the other. So I wanted to fully answer that question first about the thick accent in the language. But we are not connected to the internet or the web, right? Or so we don't have the security threat in the same way. So we operate fully independent of the internet, and we avoid the virus threats by security updates. We're fully ITAR compliant. And so there is capability, and we believe there's going to be a desire for it later down the road to have edge devices connected to us, but then those would be connected to you. But right now we are totally on-prem and have no connection to the internet, so there is no threat that way.
Okay. And I just want to remind the audience that our speaker, David Siegel from Predictronics, had to leave at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, so I'll get those questions answered for you. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. If Dave and Jerry, if you want to take about 30 to 60 seconds maybe and just going to give some final thoughts. Dave, go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody for your time. I know it's a challenging environment. A lot of us, as you can see, are working from home, and so that's been an adjustment. But I wish all of you well. I think it's a great time, and I think there's probably a lot of interest in learning about the kinds of technologies that are out there that can move your business forward. I can tell you that probably no surprise to most of you, a lot of companies are taking this time as an opportunity to look at the next wave of investment that they need to make. We are certainly here for you. We serve numerous automotive manufacturers, as shown earlier. And so if there's anything that we can do to help you, either with a point solution or a holistic solution, we're here for you. We're happy to help, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
I would echo Dave's sentiments. I learned quite a bit today from both his presentation and Plex Systems and what you do, as well as Predictronics. And I do think there's some pretty unique and potential tie-ins to what you do and what each of us do. I think the opportunity is ripe, as we will have to move forward after COVID as a manufacturing community, as a global community, and find new ways to do things in the new norm. And I believe technology is one of those ways that we can do that. And we are continuing to grow the capability of Athena, and not only in voice recognition and response and those kind of things, but just in the overall capability and how it helps. So feel free to check out the website, shoot me an email, and let's talk about how we might be able to help you. But again, Kevin, Akira-san, Matt, thank you very much, and Jetro for doing this. And it's been a pleasure, and I'm honored to have had the chance to participate.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you to all three of our speakers for joining us today. Please give them a virtual applause. So you will receive an email later, for the attendees, you'll receive an email later today with access to presentation material, and you'll be able to view the recorded webinar at any time. If you can also take the time to complete our customer satisfaction survey, it would be greatly appreciated, as we will improve this webinar series based on your feedback. And finally, I'd like to share information about Jetro's USA's North American Business Matching Program. Jetro's business matching program is a free service that gives North American companies direct access to leading Japanese corporations. Basically, Jetro recruits innovative startups and companies in the US and Canada in select industries. And we share these company profiles to Japanese corporations, North American offices, maybe bi-weekly or every month to help facilitate business relationships. So if you're a Japanese company, and most of our attendees here, I think you're from Japanese companies, if you're interested in this program, we encourage you to please contact us after the webinar. There will be more information in the customer satisfaction survey. So thank you once again. This concludes our webinar for today. Thank you for your attention and for sticking around for this all the way to the end. Have a great day and stay safe. Thank you.